see how great Kobe Thomas can be whenever he gets down low and open. Here we'll see Matty McConnell go up in this time off of a break for a layup. Now we'll see them working around the outside. Gombe down low to Thomas, or to McConnell. McConnell to Thomas. Another 2 points for Thomas. Jumping into the second half of the game here. This is whenever things got a little bit weird. Here we see Kobe Thomas with yet again another slam dunk. David, he just couldn't stay away from the rim in this game. It's ridiculous. Now we'll see a little lob pass down across to Kobe Thomas. Kobe Thomas, another slam. You just can't stop this kid. He's too good down low. He's too big. He's too athletic. A bounce pass there and puts it up for another 2 for Robert Morris. Robert Morris down now, 82-65. An outside shot off the rim. Kobe Thomas, put back slam. This kid cannot rebound, shots, dribbling. He's great on defense. But unfortunately, that wouldn't be enough for Robert Morris to come back and win. They would lose 89-80. The Colonials fell to the flash and dropped to 4-1 in the NEC. Robert Morris took 2 technical fouls in the game, one to coach Andy Toole and the second to freshman Leandre Washington, putting the Colonials in a hole early on. For the Colonials, this meant that they were now in second place behind the St. Francis Red Flash in the NEC standings.
Despite coming off the first loss of the season, Robert Morris men's basketball traveled to Fairleigh Dickinson University as the heavy favorite. Let's go to the clips to see how the game unfolded. So here we're going to see the men's basketball team playing the Knights on the road. Tough game. They're going to come out in the zone, and they're going to get beat by it here early. And FDU is going to take a quick lead. That was the first bucket of the game. And here you see Deshaun Burke trying to get past the screen. He can't. And FDU knocks down the shot, having that early lead. They're going to go up 18-10 right here after this bucket. And Robert Morris just seemed to be a little bit caught between playing man and zone. But you see Deshaun Burke, early contender for NEC Player of the Year, getting the Colonials going. And Leandre Washington doing what he does best, driving and getting fouled, adding another bucket for the Colonials as they try to come back in the first half. Down there, FDU gets the bucket over Dave Cole. As we head into the second half, the Colonials are going to try to come back on FDU, but FDU gets the and one right there, and here they go again with a good drive and a good finish. All FDU early in the second, but here come the Colonials. Big shot by John Williams, one of the leading three-point shooters in the NEC when you look at it percentage-wise. And here is possibly the player of the year, Deshaun Burke, with a huge slam, and that won't be his last of the game. Colonials trying to push the ball down the court. Leandre, Jelly Fam right there, knocking that free throw in and getting fouled. And here we go with Deshaun, right here, putting the game away with a huge slam over FDU. Robert Morris was led to victory by the two Jersey boys, Deshaun Burke and Leandre Washington, who combined for a total of 39 points. This was their 5th win of the season, and tonight the Colonials notched their 6th win of the season over Sacred Heart. And here to discuss the great start to conference play with Greg Sutton is Matt Kurdick.
Thanks, David. And Matt, thanks for coming in tonight. Thanks for taking time out of your night tonight to come and talk to us. Now, we're going to jump right into the heat of things. What's been working for the men's basketball team so far this season?
Well, you see Andy Toole recruit all these great players. They all have their own personalities, but they all seem to mesh well together and playing with a lot of fast breaks and getting in transition and hitting three-point shots. It's been a really fun season to watch.
I mean, and if talking about the fast breaks, I see a couple players that really like those fast breaks, such as DeAndre. He really likes to jump on the ball quick as he can and get down the court and get that layup and the quick bucket for the Colonials.
Yeah, you're right. You see Leandre Washington and Deshaun Burke and Kobe Thomas running down the court with those nice passes and those dunks. It's really fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, and so I've also seen a couple things that I'm not too quite sure about. It looks like they're a little bit immature when it comes to fouling. It looks like they take a couple personal fouls that they shouldn't be really taking on the court.
No, you're right. It kind of comes with experience. We are one of the youngest teams in the nation, I assume. And in the NEC, we're playing with a lot of guys that have been in there for 2-3 years. So you expect that kind of stuff out of this team, but it's still early.
So, I mean, also talking about that, Kobe Thomas, an absolutely athletic player. As we've seen in that highlight we just played from the St. Francis game last week, he loves to get up to the rim with his hands and dunk the ball. Does that help the Colonials and add a little bit of enthusiasm and drive to the game?
Yeah, it does. Watching that St. Francis game, it wasn't really looking too great for us from the get-go, and we got to see Kobe Thomas go and slam the ball home, and that really lit up a spark for our team.
And moving forward into the end of this season, do they have a chance to take on the NEC championship and move into the NCAA tournament?
You know, I think they do. I think we've shown a lot of heart in our team so far this year, and we've shown that we have the will to win, and it's something that we haven't really seen out of this team in the last couple of years.
All right, well, thank you very much, Matt, for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
And David's going to take it back there on the desk and talk a little bit more about some basketball.
The women's basketball team headed into their matchup with St. Francis unbeaten in conference play. But the Red Flash were also undefeated on the season. The matchup between the two teams proved to be as good as anticipated, wire to wire. We're going to get a quick look here at the Colonials just scoring a bunch of easy buckets in the paint against the Red Flash, which is always good against a conference opponent like St. Francis when you can get those easy buckets. And that was the story of the first quarter. Heading into the second, they were down in this low-scoring affair, 13-8. But this is when the Colonials really started to make their move to even the game up. You see them getting in there, and they're going to try to be pressed there. But there's Megan Smith, the veteran on the team, with the drive and the finish, beating the trap up top. And right there is Jones with the drive and the finish. The Colonials just dominating down low. But to come back in this game, they're going to have to go to the three. And who better to do that than... And here they are on the fast break. And the bucket. That's Nina Augustine. And right here, she's going to be on another fast break, and she's going to throw out the dish. She ends the night with 5 points and 5 assists. But there's Ikamatsu with the three-pointer. And here in the fourth, you're going to get to see her add on another three-pointer. And she has been so good all season in conference play, knocking these down and coming back. Robert Morris down 6, 2:50 to go. It looks like they might be out of the game, but this team has no quit. With just 7 seconds to go, it's going to be 2 for the tie or 3 for the win. Smith with the shot. It's good.
How in the world did that just happen?
At the buzzer.
Caught by Smith.
At the buzzer.
Great way to beat the buzzer.
Down went the Red Flash and their unbeaten record in the NEC. The Colonials were unbeaten heading into conference play, and they ended the night unbeaten as well. They were led by 3 players in double figures.
And now we're going to toss it over to our basketball interview, or our teams for it at least, Morgan Torsha.
Thanks, Greg. So I'm here with the buzzer beater herself, of course, Megan Smith. Megan, in just one word, can you compare that feeling of hitting the buzzer beater to anything else in the world?
I don't know. I mean, I've never hit a buzzer beater before, but it kind of felt like opening your favorite Christmas present on Christmas Day, I guess, is probably the feeling that's kind of similar.
All right. Well, if you guys want to hear the rest of the interview, you're going to have to stick around on Colonial Sports Center.
Want to help in the aftermath of a hurricane? Together, you and I can really help. I am fast and versatile. I can be whatever is needed to help you provide important relief when it's most critical. If you want to lend a hand, I can help you reach out and truly touch lives. Even a small donation can make a big difference.
On November 3rd in Hopwood Auditorium, Robert Morris University, join me, Don Luisi, for Bringing the Blues to RMU. This is a live event featuring Pittsburgh's Queen of the Blues, Jill West, and Blues Attack. Along with a screening of Blues Chronicles from the Berg, 3 short documentary profiles of Pittsburgh blues legends Eugene Morgan, Bill Weiner, and Jill West. This tribute to the blues is sponsored by the Blues Society of Western Pennsylvania, the Academic Media Center, and RMU Radio. That's Bringing the Blues to RMU, Friday, November 3rd at 5 p.m., Hopwood Auditorium, Robert Morris University. Admission is free to the public.
Don't ignore the subtext. It's on us to intervene in sexual assault. Because we can. Take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Welcome back to Colonial Sports Center. Like we said earlier, I'm here with the buzzer beater herself, Megan Smith. So, of course, again, the game against St. Francis, you got the ball at the last second. Can you take me through that final play?
Yeah, so in the timeout, we drew up a play that was actually meant for Nina, who's our freshman point guard. And, you know, plays get messed up all the time. St. Francis played really good defense and broke up the play, but we stayed composed, and Nina just made a good pass, and I knew I had to take the shot because it was do or die, that type of thing.
So was there a decision, though, on whether you guys were going to try to tie up the game, or were you trying to go for a three?
We were trying to go for the three, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, of course, you definitely succeeded. Might not have gone as planned, but how significant was that game for you?
It was a really important game, being so that we were both fighting for first place in the league, in the conference so far this year. And the fact that, you know, that we're both Pennsylvania schools in the conference, so there's always that type of Pennsylvania rivalry. So yeah, it was a really important game for us, for sure.
So after you made the shot, we all definitely saw, after it was confirmed it was a three, you guys had won, we all saw Coach B give you a giant hug. So
Yeah.
what was that moment like, and what did he say for you after that win?
Yeah, it was really great. He pretty much just said, like, great job, kid, like, nice shot, like, I'm proud of you, that type of thing.
So as a senior, you're definitely a leader on the team. How are you going to kind of keep the momentum from that win going throughout the rest of the season?
Yeah, you know, just going into practice every day and staying humble and trying to get better, even at the small things, is pretty much what we've been focusing on.
Mm-hmm. So also being a close team, you definitely last year not only lost some teammates, but some pretty good friends. So what was it like walking into the first practice knowing you didn't have on a Nikki or Rebecca Navarro or Janae?
It was different just because, you know, you spend 3 years, well, for me at least, 3 years playing with them and practicing and seeing each other every day. So yeah, it was different, but at the same time, I was really excited to see this new team and see what we had and the skills that we could perform at.
And of course, with the new team, you guys also got a new court. What's it like going from the Sewell Center all the way up to the Rec Center? Yeah,
the new Rec Center is very beautiful. It's bright. The crowds have been really great. Of course, I miss the Sewell Center because it was my home for 3 years, but at the same time, the transition between this Sewell Center and this new Rec Center has been great.
Mm-hmm. And of course, you know, the trend this season is new places, new faces. So with a whole bunch of freshmen, how have they been so far?
They've been really great because we lost 3 seniors last year who played significant minutes. They've really stepped up and they're learning quickly about our offense and our defense. And so I'm really proud of the strides that they've made so far this season.
And with them stepping up, is there anyone that in particular has definitely stepped up to the plate?
You know, they've all played a bunch and they've really showed their skill set. I would say Hanukkah Ikimatsu has really stepped up as a starting point guard as a freshman, which is huge. Megan Callahan has stepped up as a strong shooter for us as a team. But, you know, all of them have really showed a lot of potential.
That's awesome. So another player that's definitely stepped up, I do have to say, not a freshman, is Jocelyn Jones. She went from getting a couple minutes every game to being a starter. So what kind of happened there? What was that like?
She's really worked this past summer, going into this season. She's just worked so hard at improving herself, improving her game, and just being a leader. She's improved so much, like not even in her skill set, but as a leader and as a communicator for this team. And I think that's where she's gained some confidence and really done well.
All right, so I do have to ask you one more question before we go. There's still a lot of games left to play, so what's like the mentality and the confidence going into the rest of the season?
Coach B always says to be passionate, and to always stay relentless. So, you know, going into practice every day, working, even if you're tired, sore, or whatever, like just going out there and giving it your all.
All right, well, Megan, thank you so much for coming in. It was so good to talk to you. Good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
And we're going to send it back over to the desk with Greg and David.
Earlier this season, the women's hockey team hosted the Big Ten Power Ohio State. They split the series with their second win coming in an overtime thriller. However, this past weekend's contest did not prove to be as exciting for the Colonials. The final score was 5-0 in favor of The Ohio State. This was an uncharacteristic performance by the Colonials, as it was only their second game being held scoreless all season, and the first time they lost consecutive games this season.
After the shutout loss the day prior, the women were back on the ice for a redemption game against the Ohio State Buckeyes. The Colonials were out for blood and a chance to prove that they could hang in there with the big dogs and get back to Buffalo this season. The Colonials have now dropped 2 of their last 3 games against both Syracuse and Ohio State. Kirsten Welsh scored a shorthanded goal, and Jessica Gazzola brought them within 1 goal, but they couldn't capitalize on the opportunity. Despite the losses in the past 3 matchups, the women's hockey team remained 10th in the USA Today poll, extending their longest streak of being ranked in program history. And now, David, we're going to take a look at the CHA women's hockey standings as of right now. And as you see, Robert Morris is sitting in second place right behind Mercyhurst.
They are, and those 2 losses to Ohio State hurt, but they weren't in conference, so it wasn't too bad. They built experience from those, and hopefully it can help them in CHH play, which they'll continue this next weekend. And we'll see if they can pass Mercyhurst and win the conference, but certainly another great season.
Absolutely, and another confidence boost, like I said, is being ranked nationally in the USA Today poll. So with both of those factors coming in, I mean, every hockey team drops a couple games in a row, the Penguins, professional teams, other college teams. So you just have to know, you have to be mentally tough, as all the coaches say about every sport. You got to be mentally tough and fight back to the way you know you can play your sport, or in this case, you can play on the ice, and you just got to get back to where you were. So, considering that, we're just going to have to hope and see, or not hope and see, we're just going to have to watch and see that the women's hockey team here can jump back to where they were and jump back to Buffalo this postseason.
I'm looking forward to the rest of the season.
Oh, me too, absolutely. It's going to be exciting close of the season. But when we come back, we're going to discuss the current football and Robert Morris. And a
lot of news, new head coach, we've got some new coordinators. You're going to sit down with Logan Carney, and we're going to break down just what happened in the offseason, what we can expect next fall. All that coming up next on Colonial Sports Center.
Everything starts out small. The things that hurt us, they all start from somewhere. The words we say, the things we do, they can grow into something else. What was small and innocent can become big and sometimes scary. All it takes is one comment, one picture, one video for something to catch fire. But a big problem doesn't need a big response. Not at first. Even if we don't know what to say, the eye emoji can be that first step we take. Let's all pledge to take that first small step together and change the world in a big way. I'm a witness, and so are you.
Oh, emojis! I thought the conversation just got dumber.
Ugh, internet trolls, just ignore them.
I like you just the way you are.
I believe in you!
She's a hugger. Give her a squeeze.
Help up the hand!
Ah, there you go.
Thanks, mate.
You're killing it, Jane!
Tonight, along the Texas Gulf Coast, utter devastation. Harvey barreled ashore overnight, packing 130-mile-an-hour winds, blinding sheets of rain, and the treacherous storm surge.
Harvey can't mess with Texas. So donate now to help make Texas whole again.
Welcome back to Colonial Sports Center. While we are in the swing of the winter sports seasons, the biggest news is coming from the football team. This past fall, Logan Carney, a writer and radio host for The Century, was critical of coach John Banaszak. Well, the football team decided to part ways with Banaszak. Filling his shoes next season will be Bernard Clark, who has also hired 2 new coordinators in Gabe Luvara and Dave Plungus. Here to break down these new hires is the one and only Logan Carney, joined by Greg Sutton.
Well, Logan, thanks for coming on. How do you feel about this new hire of Bernard Clark?
Well, I mean, he's a defensive-minded coach. Personally, it's been the offense that has struggled with Rob Morris. Personally, if I was making the decision, I would have went with an offensive-oriented coach. But on the defensive side of the ball, his defenses have been phenomenal. I mean, last year they were 9th in FCS overall, averaging under 300 yards per game, 282. 15th best rushing defense, 20th best passing defense, and they only give up 17.7 points overall, which was 17th in the entire country. So defensively, he's a really good coach. He was at a press conference. He seems to be a no-nonsense type guy. I think that his mentality is the type of guy that Robert Morris needs, and I think he'll. After learning more, I was a little bit confused because again, I would have went with an offensive-oriented coach, but after reading up more on him and learning more about him, he seems like a great hire for Robert Morris.
So along with Clark, he also brought his offensive and defensive coordinator from Albany, Gabe Lavara and Dave Plungus. How do you think is it gonna help the transition with his type of culture?
Of course. I mean, whenever coaches get hired, whenever they want to bring in new, they always hire, they always bring in their guys. They always have guys that have coached with them. Plungus, you've mentioned, has coached under him for years at his defense, and he's just as much the credit as the defense as Clark is, and he'll be the new defensive coordinator replacing Scott Farrison, and I think he'll do a great job there. As far as the new offensive coordinator goes, they averaged 24.9 points per game in 2016, which was one of the best in their conference. So I think both sides of the ball, it looks like they're going to change. I mean, Rob Morris this year averaged about 10 points per game, which is a big difference, 2 touchdown difference from 24.9. So it's a big increase in the offensive side of the ball as well as his defensive side of the ball, despite him being a defensive head coach.
So you mentioned earlier about the whole you would have hired an offensive oriented coach. What do you think that he needs to do as a new coach, along with his offensive coordinator Gabe Lavara, and able to bring the RMU football offense back to its glory of Joe Walton?
Well, I think they need to shore up the offensive line. I mean, there's been a lot of freshmen and a lot of young guys mixing in. They haven't really had a solid starting offensive line for a whole season in a couple of years now. They haven't really given Jimmy Walker a lot of time, and Jimmy Walker, the quarterback position, is also something that Banaszak was never able to find. Part of that is because of the offensive line play too, but you look at the numbers, 49.6 completion percentage, 9 touchdowns and 8 interceptions is not going to cut it.
Doesn't sound good at all.
I mean, he brought in a new quarterback transfer from LSU, Caleb Lewis, who never played at LSU. He was a walk-on there, but at least it will give Jimmy Walker some competition. Both of them came from big schools, and we'll have a little bit more competition at the quarterback side, and hopefully that improves. Hopefully the offensive line improves, and really the all-around offense, because the rushing struggled last year. The most important thing is shoring up that offensive line.
I'll say, okay, for the offensive line, I know you kind of touched on it a little bit, but what would you do as the analyst for the team? What would you do in order to shore that up?
I mean, you got to decide. You got to get a solid one. You need to have one that's committed and staying in there. That's the thing with Robert Morris, is what they've struggled with. Is they've had so many different offensive linemen, due to injuries, new players and stuff like that. They've all been freshmen and sophomores the past couple of years. They need a consistent offensive line, one that can develop with the quarterback, learn the quarterback. It's all about chemistry and everything like that. I mean, the rushing game hasn't been that great either. They were 5th lowest in FCS last year with 708 yards total on the year, which, there are running backs that get over 1,000 yards in a single season, and they had 3 running backs last year combined for 708. So the main thing, you look at it, the passing struggles and rushing struggles, the main thing to blame is the offensive line, and that's what needs to be shored up.
All right, thank you very much for coming in tonight, Logan.
Of course.
But now we're going to send it back over to the desk again for David Szymanski, and he's going to send us into the commercial break.
I hope you guys are as excited for football season as I am after that interview. But winter sports teams are in the middle of conference play, and this coming week has some big matchups. After this break, we will fill you in on what to watch. So we'll see you on the other side.
Want to help in the aftermath of a hurricane? Together, you and I can really help. I am fast and versatile. I can be whatever is needed to help you provide important relief when it's most critical. If you want to lend a hand, I can help you reach out and truly touch lives. Even a small donation can make a big difference.
On On November 3rd in Hopwood Auditorium, Robert Morris University, join me, Don Luisi, for Bringing the Blues to RMU. This is a live event featuring Pittsburgh's Queen of the Blues, Jill West, and Blues Attack. Along with a screening of Blues Chronicles from the Burgh, 3 short documentary profiles of Pittsburgh Blues legends Eugene Morgan, Bill Weiner, and Jill West. This tribute to the blues is sponsored by the Blues Society of Western Pennsylvania, the Academic Media Center, and RMU Radio. That's Bringing the Blues to RMU. Friday, November 3rd at 5 p.m., Hopwood Auditorium, Robert Morris University. Admission is free to the public.
Don't ignore the subtext. It's on us to intervene in sexual assault. Because we can. Take the pledge at itsonus.org.
And welcome back to the final little bit here of Colonial Sports Center. Dave, let's jump into my favorite part of the show, honestly, the upcoming games for Robert Morris Athletics.
Let's see what we've got going on this week.
And as we can see here, Friday, January 19th, I'm really looking forward to this women's hockey at RIT at 2 p.m. because considering they're on that 3-game losing streak, I kind of want to see them get their groove back and move into the later season on a roll.
Absolutely, and that's an afternoon game, so pay attention, follow along with that. The men's and women's basketball team are both on the road at Wagner, playing back-to-back games at 1 p.m. and 4:05, so be sure to tune in for those.
All right, yeah, and absolutely. And as you can see there, that's the rest of the upcoming schedule for this week and the next. And David, you want to send us home for a little bit here?
Yeah, so we've got a new segment here. It's going to be Moments of the Week, so let's head into that. Thanks for tuning in to Colonial Sports Center.
Can we take this out?
Maybe not.
Oh, no, just still here.